We got the stair lift over about a year ago, and that's a good enough time to try out all the different things we need it for and don't need it for, and to see how it works, which is great from both my and my wife's perspective. We got one because my wife was starting to have some problem with her knees, particularly in the cold weather. And I was diagnosed with some pretty bad balance problems. So it seemed like the right time to put a stair lift in, which we did. And going about it was in my own left brain mechanical way. We did a lot of research on the nature of stair lifts. You know, what you should be looking for, why, and all the different kinds generically that were available. And we went from there to looking at different manufacturers' models and settled on two, one of which was the Handicare stair lift that the medical house runs as a local distributor, and the other will not be mentioned at this time. And so we asked each of them to send out a representative to explain the products after we had looked at their websites in great detail. And we found that the conversation with Frank Jackson from Medical House was more than enough to make us want to go. We were confident, not just with his professionalism, but something which is not always true for somebody who's trying to sell you something, which is he was a listener, not a teller. And so he listened to what we were interested in. He talked about the features and what we would need and not need to meet our needs. We're still very ample, and so that made it a lot easier for him to fit our specific needs with the product line that they have. The stair lift we chose is probably the most basic available, but at this point, since we get around pretty easily, what we needed was something that, in fact, will take care of both my wife's and my challenges. And those are just simply a stair lift that would take us from point A to point B, except in our case, we did not want a stair lift that just came to the end of the flat surface at the top of the bottom of the stairs and just turned to let you off safely. We needed something that did a turnaround both at the top and the bottom so that the equipment, the seat, and would be out of the way of the stairwell for other people than ourselves to go up and down. And that, we think, made our choice with this free curve around the top and bottom. It's a 180-degree turn, not a 90-degree. And that puts them in a different room than the landing area, the front, at the front door or at the top of the stairs where it branches off to all the other rooms. First, do your homework. Think about what generically the online sites will tell you, AARP or something like that, about what you should be looking for, questions you should be considering that you have in your answers in your head before you begin to contact any possible manufacturer's a local representative. That to me is the most basic. It's what I would do automatically, but not everybody probably does. They may, in fact, go just, well, I need a stair lift, and then out of the questions that the person representing the company asks them, they start to put together an agenda and set priorities about what they want. One thing is, with all due deference to all the different companies, price is really not what's important. It's what's your specs, and only your specs, not the company's specs, that should determine what you want. And if you end up paying a little bit more than you thought you might, don't worry about it. It will pay for itself because your specs were being met, not somebody else's. He's a listener, and so he asked us what we wanted to achieve with the stair lift. It's an obvious question, I think, but I think both my wife and I had done our homework enough that it gave him a more comfortable sense that we knew what we wanted. On the other hand, he did have to ask some pretty important questions about it. Do you realize that, or are you interested in this? And because we hadn't covered it, so he filled it out. But we were very comfortable with him as a person. We liked him as a person, not just as somebody we're meeting for the first time that's trying to sell us something. Frank called after a number of months saying, "How was it? How do you like it? Is there anything I can do?" And that was nice. Didn't expect it, expected to call, in 24 hours afterwards, "How is it?" type of thing, is anything broken? No, it was, how is it feeling? Is it, what is your experience with it? And that kept up, and then he came out just to show us that about the lubrication, to make sure we were doing it right, because that's kind of important to the smooth running of the chair. So he has been an attentive friend of the family, gotten to know him well about his kids and his gardening, and compared to ours. And he is good to have him as a friend in this business. In general, a ride is very comfortable. It surprises you the first time round, especially if you have the 180-degree turn that we do, because the way the motion is carried by the chain up and down, you, on a curve, are moving apparently just a little faster, has the feeling of being just a little faster. It's a little surprising the first time around, and then it occurs to you, of course, that's what it's got to do. And the other is the automatic leveling that occurs, that as you go up the stairs, you marvel at the fact you're always level, and yet you're going up an incline. And so you begin to think about, boy, this is easy. And if there are any kinks in it, they can be worked out. Maybe it needs oiling or something like that, lubricating. And but in general, it's so easy to be in. The toggle switch that you move to left or right to allow you to go upstairs or downstairs as appropriate. All those things that you have to touch are so simplified, you don't have to even think twice after the first time using it. And of course, it also comes with remotes, which means that if you're on the ground floor, but the chair is on the top floor and you don't want to go up to get it to bring it down, you can call it down. And that's another delightful feature and we use it a lot, of this particular model. And as an accessory, that's number one. So it was, the chair is comfortable for both of us. We're not particularly tall or not overly big shouldered or anything. It's just, we are average person of average size, and it's just designed as well for us as it would probably be for anybody.